All right. Hey, everybody. My name is David. This is Option Avenue's podcast. And today we have author Gail Miller Mahafey. We're going to be discussing her book, Music of the Soul, and possibly adapting it for film or TV. Hi, Gail. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks. Glad to
Um,
be.
yeah, definitely. Thank you for being on. So, where we like to start is if you could just give a brief summary of your book, and don't worry about spoiler alerts. That's okay.
Okay, sure. Um, my story is about concert pianist Meredith Mason, and she is leading the music world as the successful new talent as a pianist. And she is a true artist. She loves her music. She loves playing. She that's kind of what her whole life is. Her whole life is her music, and she enjoys it. Very early on in the story, her parents are coming to see her perform, and they are killed in a violent car crash.
Mm.
And Meredith just becomes overwhelmed with guilt in her life. This guilt kind of takes her over, and she feels that if her parents hadn't been coming to visit her, they wouldn't be dead. And she blames herself for their death, and um, she's just consumed by it. So she leaves the city of New York and she decides to take a job in upstate South Carolina at a small college, Converse College, where she becomes professor of piano and she can teach, which is what she loves to do. And she can also concertize when she wants to. So she's very happy there. But this guilt of her parents' death is still consuming her, and she keeps wondering, is there more to life? Do people just they just live and then they die, and is that it? So she kind of becomes consumed with trying to find out the real purpose in life and why she's here and what's going on. So she takes this job in this new city, and as part of her job, she performs the Rachmaninoff concerto, piano concerto number 2 in the town of Spartanburg. And in practicing for this, she meets cellist Evan Sanders, who becomes her love object in the story. And he can't believe what an incredible musician she is, how pretty she is, how he just falls in love with her, and she eventually falls in love with him in the story. So the concert in town is a tremendous success, and because of this, she is invited to the city of Prague in Czech Republic to do a concert there the following weekend. They have lost their star soloist due to a broken arm, so she has been, through her agent, she has been invited to go to Prague, and she is just over the top because she's never been to Europe, and it's thoroughly exciting for her to go there. So she takes off for Europe. On the way through Rome, she has a chance meeting with Mother Teresa, who was apparently on the plane with her, and she didn't know that, but they have this chance meeting, and Meredith gets to look in the eyes of this wonderfully wise woman, and she sees more to life than what she feels like she's experiencing. She sees spirituality coming through Mother Teresa. She feels great love, and she admires this woman and she wants to be like her. So she kind of takes this with her on her journey as she goes. Um, the time in Prague is beautiful. It would, if it were filmed, oh my gosh, it would just be incredible to film in Prague. And Meredith practices in the evening with the symphony, but she gets to tour the city during the daytime, and she goes to all the tourist places. But in touring, she sees Prague, a very old city, and she thinks about all the thousands and thousands of people who have lived there, died there. What was their purpose? They were not famous like she is. What was their purpose of being here in life? So she's still pondering these great questions as she's concertizing in Prague. Her concert is a huge success. She comes home and um, she settles down to life in Spartanburg. And during the story, she falls in love with cellist Evan Sanders, and he is the person who helps her find her real meaning in life. She has another mentor, Father Flanagan, at the little church in Spartanburg. And then she keeps seeing and reading about Mother Teresa, and all these people influence her. But it's Evan Sanders who finally breaks through and gets her to realize how important she is, and that she has a real purpose in her life. So
Nice.
that's basically the story.
Yeah, nice. Well, what inspired the story?
Okay, well, I I was basically spent a good bit of my life as a public school music teacher, and that was a creative outlet for me. It was a wonderful creative outlet. I could just write. I wrote all kinds of things to put on stage. I just had a great time doing it. But I had to leave my job because of health reasons, and so I had this creative void in my life. If you're a creative person, you have to do something creative. You have to. It's just a drive within you. And so I was driven to do something, and I decided to write this story because I've always enjoyed writing, and I started writing. I actually worked on this book for 12 years, writing, rewriting, throwing out, changing. Um, and I know most people don't take that long to write a story, but I did. And I think I came up with a little jewel of a novel. It's really a sweet little story, and would be perfect for the big screen too.
Nice. Okay, cool. And then the main characters you touch on. So who would be maybe the main three characters, and then what drives them in the story?
Right. So Meredith naturally is the main character, and she's overwhelmed with the guilt of the death of her parents, and that makes her try and find her real purpose in life. She thinks is music really all there is there something more, and it leads her to find a deeper purpose and meaning. And the person who helps her is Evan Sanders, cellist. He's also a calculus teacher, and he is at the UNC up in Asheville. He comes down every time to play with the symphony, but eventually he moves here, and they fall in love, and it's a sweet love story. It's very sweet. And Dr. Bill Preston is the leader of the Spartanburg Philharmonic. Paul Brennan is the leader of the Philharmonic in Prague. So, and then Mother Teresa, of course. So those are kind of all the main characters in the story.
Right. Okay. You touched on the journey of the protagonist a little bit.
Yeah.
So what are, if we could dig in a little bit more, some of the themes that your book explores?
Okay. One of the themes it explores is, why do bad things happen to good people? And I think that's something that crosses everybody's life at some point. And bad things happen to Meredith's parents, also to the wife of the director of the Philharmonic. She comes down with leukemia in the story, and Meredith just can't understand why did these things have to happen to good people? Why does this be? And then she's also looking for spirituality, some kind of spiritual connection in her life, which she doesn't have. She's totally connected to her music, and really doesn't have any friends until she meets Evan and connects with him, and gets connected with people in the new little town where she is. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. And then also we want to, you touched on this too a little bit, but the setting of the story where it takes place. So how do those locations enhance the story?
Yeah, there would be many locations actually. Filming here, I would love for them to film in my hometown, because the Congress College is a beautiful old college from 1889, big old buildings, giant trees, just what you think of as a beautiful little college campus. And the village of Converse Heights borders that. This is where Meredith lives. But it's an old village of old homes and beautiful trees and gardens and things like that. Then Evan comes from Asheville, North Carolina, which Evan and Meredith go up there for a couple play dates, and during the course of the story. And it's just a fascinating little town, a little crafty town up in the mountains. Would be great for filming. Prague, oh my gosh. Prague is just beautiful with all the steeples, the onion-shaped steeples, the tall spires, the big old buildings, the cobblestones. just everything about it would just be an incredible place to film. And when I wrote my book, I could write about the music, but if this were made into a film, you could hear the music. That's what's so exciting for me to think about,
Mhm.
that we could have beautiful music playing in the background all the time. The Rachmaninoff concerto would be played during the concert, but other music could be chosen to play in the background, which would be incredible. And if my book were made into a movie, I would love to help choose some of the music, because there's just a wealth of good stuff out there, beautiful stuff that could
Yeah,
just
definitely.
describe all these cities. Okay. And then other places, San Francisco, she concertizes in San Francisco.
Mhm.
Um, my daughter went to school across the bay in Berkeley there for her graduate work. So I've been to San Francisco many times, and it's a lovely place too, and would be great for filming.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
As you were writing the book, what were some of the challenges you were facing?
Okay. Well, the first challenge, I had never written a book before.
Yeah, well, that's the
So
big one.
I know that was the big one. But a lot of people, I think, when they write books, they make an outline and they follow the outline. And if I ever wrote another book, I think I would make an outline and follow it. But I didn't do that. I just wanted to start writing. I was desperate to get rid of some of this creativity. So I just started writing. And the thing that I like to write most is descriptive pa-
Mm,
descriptive passages. And I think I have some really gorgeous description in my story. I think it's written beautifully. It's pretty to read if
mhm,
that. Um, but so after writing all this description, then I had to figure out a plot. I had to weave that in. I had to create characters. I had to create characters who had some flaws. As I was writing, had someone tell me my characters didn't have many flaws, so I had to
mm,
add flaws in my characters. But I have one character who doesn't have many flaws, and I wanted it to be that way, and that's Evan Sanders. Um, I just wanted him to be the kind of guy that women who read the book or watch the story on screen would just look at him and think, wow, what a catch. I'd like somebody like that. I wanted him to be that way. And I was writing fiction, so I did make him pretty perfect, but
mm, mm.
he's a great guy, and doesn't have many flaws.
Yeah.
Okay, where was I was okay.
So
And
just some of the other challenges. No, that's
yeah,
good though.
so
You
so
got
it
some feedback and you were modifying the characters.
right. It took me all those years, and I did have a couple feedbacks in the middle with people reading it, but it took me that length of time. But I came up with a beautiful little story, and I would be proud to have it on the screen. I really would.
Yeah,
So
nice. And then you touched on the location, so some of the personal experiences, and then your background as a music teacher, but your personal
right.
experiences, how did they shape the narrative?
Okay. Well, I tell you that I didn't tell you that I actually met Mother Teresa myself in the Rome
No, no,
airport.
yeah, I didn't know that.
I
Oh,
did.
okay.
And I put this into my story because it was such a profound experience. I mean, to meet someone like that, and I actually got to go up to her. She was giving out miraculous medals,
Mhm,
and I got to go up to her, and she didn't speak, because I think she didn't know what language everyone spoke, so she was not speaking, but she was calling with her hand for everyone to come up. And I was one of the people who was brave enough to go up to her, and I got to look in her eyes, and oh my gosh, I just felt a great love for mankind, for the world. I felt the spirit of God coming through her. um, it wasn't her, it was something that was coming through her. It was
mm,
just an amazing feeling for me. And I wanted Meredith in my story to have this feeling too. Um, Another thing that I think has influenced my writing, my husband and I love to travel, and we've been fortunate enough that we've done a good bit of traveling in our lives. And um, I have been to Prague, and that was one of the reasons I wrote about Prague, because it's such a lovely city, and I wrote a lot about what I remembered. And I stayed in the same hotel Meredith stays in on the Vltava River, and it's just a beautiful little town. So we had experienced that ourselves, actually.
Nice. And then, so you're saying you met Mother Teresa, you, from
Yeah,
the story, but also in real life, you met
yeah,
her in the airport?
I did.
Oh,
Yes. And
and that was in Italy. All,
she actually had been on the plane I was on
oh, okay.
the
Yeah. So
ocean, but they
basically,
had
yeah.
hidden
So it's
her.
same
Yeah,
as your
they had
story.
hidden her in the first class, so nobody knew she was there. And I was one of the last people off the plane, and there was this flutter of women in white with blue stripes on their clothes running around, and you know the people who did stay behind wondered what's going on here, and they brought this woman out from
Mm,
the plane, and we realized, oh my gosh, this is Mother Teresa. She was very old, very, very wrinkled. And
mm,
this was actually a year before she died. That was in 1996, and I believe she passed away in 1997. So
mm.
my story takes place back in 1996 so that I could have my character meet Mother Teresa for real. And
Yeah. Kept it in line.
yeah, so there are no cell phones in my story. You know, a lot of things that we have now, they didn't have back then. That she had to use the telephones to call Evan whenever she called home. Telephone card that would run out and beep, and you know, so but yeah,
Nice.
but
And then, what are some of the authors of books that influenced your writing?
okay. I am a great fan of Dorothea Benton Frank. And she is a South Carolina writer. She actually passed away about 2 years or so ago, but she always used to come through Spartanburg every summer, um, giving book signing tours, and I always went to them faithfully every year. And I read every book that she had written. And at one of the book tours at a restaurant, I went to use the restroom and I go in there and she's in there. She's there. And so I got to meet her and talk to her. And I told her that I was writing a book, that I was greatly inspired by her, and that I wanted to become an author, and that I was writing this book. And she was so encouraging. She just told me,
Mhm.
don't give up. She said, you're going to hit a lot of stumbles, a lot of, you know, stumbling blocks. Just don't give up. Keep going, keep writing. And that was a great encouragement to me. And um, I loved her writing. It was really sad to me when she did pass away just a few years ago, because she wasn't that old. And
Mm,
it, yeah, but she's from South Carolina. Most of the South Carolina writers write beach books, or a lot of them do anyway. I'll say they romanticize the beach. I didn't want to write a beach book. I
okay.
wanted to write about upstate South Carolina, because upstate South Carolina is gorgeous territory and it deserves to be romanticized, just like the beach does.
Nice. That's nice.
That's what I did in my story, and people in town love to read my book because they know all the places, and they enjoy it. But I know people who don't live here would love it too.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what would set your book apart from similar books in your genre or based on the location?
Okay. One thing in entertainment, I think Americans are just obsessed with being entertained by violence, by guns, by shooting, by, you know, things like that. And there is none of this in my story, I'm proud to say. And I've one compliment I got from someone said my book was kind. And
Mm,
I thought that was very important. But I think people should be entertained by the good things in life, because there's so much beauty in life. There's so much love and beauty, and let's be entertained by that instead of by people shooting people. So
mhm, mhm.
my book is about that.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's good. No, you need all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you envision your book on the screen?
Oh my.
Like, have you?
I guess I have somewhat. I envision lots of music, not
Mhm.
just the Rachmaninoff concerto,
Yeah, well,
but
it's cool.
a lot
It's
of
cool you
a lot,
mentioned that. You were
yeah.
writing about music, but now you would be able to listen to it in the movie.
Right, right. But a lot of other music as background, and I think I might stick with the classical music, because that would kind of tie it all together.
Hmm.
There's a lot of beautiful stuff out there, and I would love to help select some of the background music, but the music will weave the story together. And an interesting thing about using classical music, um, in the 1950s and 60s, all the old Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck cartoons and all that, they all used classical music because they didn't have to pay any royalty fees for it.
Right.
If you use music that's, say, over 100 years old, you don't have to pay any royalty fees. So children back in the 50s were listening to great, great music, the William Tell Overture and things like that were on these Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck cartoons, and it's really kind of interesting if you go back and look at some of them. That's what's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
But
that
today,
is interesting.
they don't do that today.
What are some of the key scenes?
Oh my goodness.
Like if it was a movie that would be crucial for the adaptation.
Yeah, I had thought about that, and I thought that everything in the book is really crucial. And I've been thinking that even the powerful scenes at the concerts and the powerful scenes in Prague are all important, but so are some of the sweet scenes. There are a lot of little sweet things that happen in my story. Meredith Meredith and Evan. Okay, sorry. Meredith and Evan are making a Thanksgiving dinner for 5 students of hers because they have nowhere to go for Thanksgiving. And a few days before Thanksgiving, Evan appears at Meredith's door and he has this giant turkey pan and he's so pleased with himself. He bought this turkey pan that they cooked the turkey in and he's proud as punch, and he goes in and he finds out that it's too big to fit in her oven, and he falls on the floor and starts doing a belly laugh. And I mean, that's just one of the sweet scenes. There are a lot of other little sweet things that happen, and I think they're just as important as the scenes in San Francisco, the scenes say in Asheville, North Carolina, and they actually go to the woods and just kind of have a picnic in Asheville up in the fall with the colored leaves and everything. That would be a beautiful place to film, and that's just a sweet little scene too. So all those little things I think are
Little sweet moments.
yeah.
Do you have an idea of the cast for the main characters?
Okay.
The idea of cast member, maybe some actors that we know.
Actors and actresses I think of are too old to play these characters. I think of Meg Ryan and Harrison Ford, and those are my people from
Right.
the older movies. But I think the film company would probably need to pick someone very young, someone in their early 30s maybe, to play Meredith and Evan. And I'm sure there are many new actors and actresses out who could play those roles very well, but all my cronies are the older characters, and they're just too old to do that right now.
So funny. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Well, what impact do you hope the audience would have if the book was adapted into a film?
I think any story that's a great story, I think it makes people take something home. If people who read my book, I hope it gives them something to ponder on, and people who would go see the film, I hope that they would be able to ponder on their purpose in life. Meredith is trying to find her purpose, and I think all of us live in such a rat race. We live in the rat race. We're run, constantly doing, and we don't have time to meditate on our own purpose and why we're here. Why are we doing what we're doing? We're just doing it frantically in a rush, and I just
Right, going through the motions.
I hope it makes people slow down and try and figure out their own personal purpose in their life. I think that's important.
And you feel like that would connect with contemporary audiences?
I think so. And I think Music of the Soul is a beautiful little love story. I think people would love watching it. I've had many people tell me it needs to be a Hallmark movie because they like Hallmark movies, but it would just be a lovely story for people to watch, and especially for them to hear, because they could hear the music, not just read about it. Have the music entwined throughout, and that would be lovely.
Nice. And then have you thought of any sequels or spin-offs? Now that you're done?
Yeah, I have had people ask me to write sequels because they've enjoyed the story so much. They want to know what happens to Meredith and Evan, and they do I'll cheat and tell you they do get married at the end of the story, but people want to know what happens to them after that. They don't just go off into the sunset. They have more of a life to live. And people,
Right. Are you gonna write about that or?
I have, I have thought about it. I would not want to write something if it was not as well written as Music of the Soul was. I think Music of the Soul is just a little perfect little jewel, and I wouldn't want to write something that was not as good. So if I did it, it would probably maybe take me a long time again. I don't know, but I would
Yeah.
want to write something as well. I've thought about writing on other topics too, and have tried a few little dabbles here and there, but I'm not there yet. So
Mhm. Yeah, no pressure. And then you've talked about that, but some memorable feedback that you received. So
yeah, um, the reader's favorite reviewer who wrote a review for me, a very nice review, said that my story was about everything that's beautiful in the world, and I thought that was a wonderful compliment. I also have received, gosh, I've received phone calls from people I haven't seen in years who call me up and just tell me, wow, I really enjoyed your book. And I get emails and I get notes in the mail, and it's just really wonderful, to each time one of these people comes along, for them to tell you that they enjoy what you've written, and it makes it all worthwhile for having to.
yeah, no, it's definitely a big undertaking. So that's great that that's the feedback you're getting. Is there any aspect you might change now?
Okay, as far as my book goes, I had thought if I had to do it again, I might pick a different title and maybe a different cover for my book.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I like the title and cover,
you
but
like the title? Okay, I
yeah, but
like the
they're
title too.
yours, not mine. So you
Yeah,
just
the title really related to me, but I just didn't know if it related to other
yeah, I
people
like it.
as
I like the
well.
font, the name. I like yeah, it
Yeah.
feels uplifting with the sky.
Oh,
It's nice.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
To know
Right
how.
for you, you don't love it all. You would
Well,
change.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. And another thing, I think I mentioned that in the story, Evan, did I mention, maybe I did, that in the end of the story, he brings home two little black lab puppies for Meredith as a first month
Mhm.
anniversary present. He brings them home. Um, I would I'm a great animal lover, and I would change those to golden retriever puppies, because I
Mhm.
am the owner of a golden retriever. I love my golden retriever. She's right here by my feet. If you could see her, she's here. And I just think they're the cutest puppies. All puppies are cute, and all animals are beautiful, but I might change mine to golden retrievers.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just to maybe pin it down a little bit more, are there any comparable movies that if your book was adapted, it would be similar to?
Okay, and I'm going to steal those from your website, because I couldn't think of any myself, quite frankly. But on your website, you have mentioned some TV and movies that have music woven
Mhm.
through them, where music is important to the storyline. And so you had listed those as The Pianist, Amadeus, and The Crown, to my astonishment. But all these stories have music woven in them. They have emotional storylines with the characters, and so
Oh, good.
um,
I like that you like the movies that we picked
yeah, you
for
did. I
comparable
think
films. Okay.
very good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, that pretty much sums it up on my end. Is there anything else that maybe we left out or?
No, I'm just so excited about the possibility of maybe my story becoming a film, and it's just, it would make me very happy. That would
Yeah, no, it would be amazing. Yeah. All
thrilled.
right,
Yeah.
cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Gail. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Okay, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay, bye.